Ladies and gentlemen, now today I wanted to share some predictions and just ideas around best Alliance Coliseum champions. Because from what I understand, the meta for this game mode is very different from like Battlegrounds, Alliance War, a lot of the other things in the game currently. Because you're in this mindset of Battlegrounds or kind of just general questing of like, okay, what I want to do is I want to kill everything in under a minute and just be super fast and efficient. Whereas Alliance Coliseum, the kind of mindset for this one is a little bit more like Necropolis or Labyrinth of Legends, where you're looking for those characters that can ramp up and really deal exponential damage over a few minutes. Because you have this 5-minute timer, and at the end of that, the fight is going to end, but you have this entire duration to kind of ramp up your character and just get as much damage as you can on the opponent, and then based on that damage, you're going to get a score. But there's also an additional modifier based on the tags that you have on a specific podium, so like, you know, symbiote characters or X-Men or mutants, you can get additional points as well. So the meta for this one, I think, is going to be a little bit wide. There's going to be a lot of different things you want to be using, and I assume every time this comes back around, there's going to be a slightly different defender as well. So we know the first one is going to be the Adam Warlock that was debuted and previewed at Summoners Fest. I fought this boss before, and initially the mode and boss starts off quite simple. There's not really any nodes or mechanics, but then the deeper you get in, just the more mechanics, the more damage, the more power gain comes into play as well. So yeah, it's interesting to keep that one in mind. There is like a maximum damage cap that I think is like 160% of a health bar. So if you're at 100% on a brand new health bar, I think you can nuke that down, and then it's going to stop at 40% of the one after that. If you see the final line in the Endless Coliseum here, any excess damage dealt will apply to the defender's next health bar, but will not reduce the new health bar below 40%. So kind of channeling everything into a single attack for certain characters, and that, you know, there are very rare ones that do this, but like Proxima Midnight, for example, or like Zemo's Special 3, you are going to be limited on the results that you do see from those kind of strategies as well. So just something to keep in mind. But overall, I believe the essential traits for a good Coliseum character, you just need very large damage ramp up, or has top tier base output over a 5-minute fight. So any champion that ramps up heavily in 1 to 3 minutes has some huge potential. And there are a lot of characters that just do not get used in other game modes right now, because they take about a minute or two to ramp up, that could potentially be very, very good for certain Coliseum bosses and metas. And the general benchmark, if you're looking for proven success, is that they have a solo on a Necropolis boss that is kind of around the 5-6 minute mark. Ideally, significantly under is brilliant, but I think anything around the 5-6 mark, especially at like 7-star rank 2, rank 3, could potentially be very, very good for the Alliance Coliseum mode. As we move into rank 4s being more common, Ascension coming in, rank 5 coming in as well. So yeah, something to think about there. And also does not rely on synergies for output or any sort of like pre-fight ramp up. You know, like Aegon or Sentry, you kind of need like one fight to get them going, and then they're really good. But yeah, also characters like Colossus, for example, if he had all of his synergies, could be significantly better for this, but he will not have access to that. It's just bringing in a single champion. And also Carnage as well, if he had all of his synergies, would be good. And the nice to haves are good survivability and lots of tags for bonus points, because these will just be randomly coming up. So yeah, we have no idea exactly what the full list of tags are going to be, but I imagine they're going to utilize a lot of different things in the game. And it is also potentially speculated as well from what we can see in the preview. There is also a Count Nefaria boss, so this might be the second one, but it looks like the first one is going to be Adam Warlock. So the first one is going to be a Cosmic Defender there, who's a bit annoying because he puts up that cocoon. So yeah, just something to keep in mind, especially when it comes to the classes as well. But I've tried to kind of bundle everything here and go quite wide. Now, granted, the first one is Adam Warlock, so, you know, we got the tech characters here. They may not be as good, but I still think the top options, dude, are really going to put up some points in this one. You know, Yondu, Shuri, Starknot, Spider-Man, I think Howard as well deals a lot of damage once you can get him ramped up. I've seen MSD do some Necropolis solos With Bastion as well, Ironheart, if she can really kind of get those debuffs going, she cooks very, very hard. And potentially as well for certain bosses, you know, if you're very high skill level, Star-Lord or Guillotine might be able to get something going. But again, they're going to be characters that really rely on those last like couple of minutes to really get their damage output, because the first couple of minutes are going to be very, very dry there when playing both of these characters. Then in the Cosmic class, we got Serpent. A lot of people played Serpent for the Gods challenge in Necropolis. And yeah, know how once you get kind of a few minutes into the fight, if you get your opponent in the corner, he is having an absolutely tremendous time just throwing specials into the block. I think Null potentially might have a really good chance to shine here. You know, once you get all those armor breaks up, Null is absolutely cooking. Imperiosa, one of the new idol champions, I think is going to have some very, very strong potential in Coliseum, because you kind of get like that immediate special 3, you get the corrosion, and then you can rush to another special 3, get another corrosion on. So I think you can probably do like a lot of Imperiosa's ramp during kind of the easier phases, and then just work on maintaining it in the more difficult ones. So yeah, Imperiosa to me, again, it's all prediction and speculation, but based on what I've played so far and seen, I kind of have high hopes for Imperiosa. I think Gamora and also Hyperion with the Gamora relic could be really, really good, just because that relic over a much longer fight is just going to increase the chance for them to proc buffs, get lucky, just kind of scales everything up for those characters. But Gamora is a menace. In a fight over a minute, if you can like weave in heavy attacks, dude, Gamora is doing some crazy things. So yeah, I'm very curious to see what she does there. Deathless Thanos as well could potentially be a very good option. Venom, lots of damage output, super easy to play. I'm curious to see how Odin does with the multiple health bars and how he scales and feels. But Odin was one of the first characters to get a lot of Necropolis solos. So yeah, I'm very curious to see whether or not like the scaling makes him work well or makes him feel a little bit underwhelming because he's not getting the bonuses that he wants. But Odin, I think, is definitely one to test there. Also, Adam Warlock, dude, if you're used to his playstyle, he is the boss, but I think he's also going to be pretty fun to play in certain metas for certain tags as well. Carolina Dean, I think, is going to do pretty well, man. I mean, she just kind of blasts everything down. Very safe character to play if the tags are right. Gladiator, we saw a bit of a showcase from Mike. Gladiator looks to do quite well and perform decently. I think Vox could do some pretty interesting things. You know, he's got a lot of damage ramp up, a lot of buffs, a lot of debuffs that you can juggle once you get this character into longer fights. So I actually have like quite high hopes that we're going to see some really sick Vox gameplay. Superior Iron Man, there was, I think, a 7-star rank 2 or rank 3 Necropolis Odin solo or Red Goblin somewhere on YouTube that I watched earlier today, and I was pretty impressed with that. So yeah, I think Superior Iron Man could potentially be a pretty insane cook for Alliance Coliseum, and I'm curious to see if anybody's got him ranked up. Let me know if he works well. I'm very, very curious. We also have Scream Hulkling. I think Scream with a Venom Relic, Venom with a Venom Relic as well. Again, could just deal a lot of damage, like very, very quickly. And then we also have Hulkling, who I think is just, he's just like an easy character to play. You know, there's a lot of damage output, good safety net. Maybe he fits quite nicely into some tags as well. But yeah, we're going to have to see on that one. But Hulkling, man, he's certainly got a very nice base level of damage output there. And then in the Mystic class, we have Wong. I'm curious to see. I don't know if the testing devices actually had Wong on a Summoners Fest. But looking at like Necropolis bosses, man, Wong just absolutely cooks. Like, he's got so much damage ramp up and sustainability. So I really am curious to see if, especially this first round as well, Wong is just going to do some mad things. I really, really hope so. So yeah, let me know if you have that Wong at like 7-star rank 3 or rank 4 this week and get some good results using him in the debut of Coliseum. We also have Shafter as well, who I think could deal a lot of damage. Pav was one of the best options at Summoners Fest, but I think Pav was like rank 4, whereas else a lot of other options, and there were limited options on the test device, were at rank 3. So he did have a bit of an advantage there, but he still felt very good to play in this game mode. So yeah, he's definitely one to test out there. Absorbing Man has some of the best Necropolis solos on certain bosses if you really get into that loop, like Airwalker, dude. I know Lax has a video just absolutely shredding that Airwalker. So yeah, I'm curious to see what Absman can do, especially when we have the 7-star rank 4 is going to come in a little bit later, but even the 6-star rank 5 Ascended might be good to test out if there is the right day and right scenario there. Then we got Purgatory. I think Purgatory, dude, very easy to play, a lot of damage output. Potentially annoys Adam Warlock in some ways by, nullifying his ability to trigger buffs. So yeah, I'm curious to see how Purgs works. Tigra, I just don't want to underestimate a good Tigra player, man. They always just, whip something crazy out of the bag. So I'm curious to see if Tigra is kind of viable for this mode of gameplay or not. Then we also have Mojo. Now, Mojo's a bit of a weird one because I think it's very like high stakes gameplay with Mojo, but maybe if you have the right run and you don't fail your prompts because you kind of don't have that safety net of ramping him up, but you can still get to the 5 and then potentially get that massive fury and lots of degeneration. So Mojo, I think, has some potential, but I think he's also going to be a bit of a tricky character to play unless you're very confident doing all of the prompts. So yeah, I'm curious to see how Mojo turns out and if anybody uses him and gets some really good scores. But I think he does have that potential in the duration of this fight. It's just he doesn't really have the safety net to fall back on there, just in terms of like maintaining his damage if you do lose it. Then we got Werewolf. I think Werewolf is just, bit of a tanky beast, could potentially put up some numbers. I don't really think he's the highest damage option for kind of fights like this in theory, but I think he could still do pretty well. So I'm curious to see what kind of things happen with Werewolf and also White Tiger. I still don't know as much as I should about White Tiger, but she's got some really interesting like power steel burst combos. I'm curious if like she really gets going enough and can kind of maintain that flow state to really be a viable option. But those last two I'm a little bit more uncertain about, but I just want to see some really great gameplay videos. Now, next up we got the Science class, and this goes back to what I was saying about the node, is like as you go through health bars, the power gain rate on your opponent is just going to be going up and up. So characters that power sting or rely on the opponent throwing a special to refresh something, maybe they got some very, very good value here. So I think Deathless She-Hulk might actually be easily the best Science character. She's so good for Necropolis, dude. If you've done that, what is it, Deathless Necropolis challenge, you realize just how broken She-Hulk is. And she's, yeah, just one of the craziest Science characters for longer form content and health balls. So I've got some very good expectations for her. You can also get her pieces if you are missing them from the Radiant store, but I'm curious to see what she does in this mode of gameplay. Anti-Venom, I think, could be pretty good as well. He's got some really good damage output, kind of gets into it, but also can ramp up to that. I think it's like 6 Fury state and maintain that fairly reliably. So curious to see what he does. Human Torch, I think, is probably more specific on whether or not the opponent has energy damage. But I imagine even if there's, one instance or 1 or 2 instances where you can take advantage of the energy damage in an easier phase to ramp up, and you can get like 100 stacks going on Torch. We saw in the Abyss of Legends what Torch does in that scenario, dude. And what he does in that scenario is he melts people. So I would love to see Human Torch going crazy on one of these. That'd be a really, really good time. But I know that 7-star still isn't available. Hopefully he enters the basic pool sometime mid next year, along with us getting some like massive Mystic Alliance Coliseum boss or something. So yeah, curious to see that. Spider Ham, this is where I was talking about the power stings, dude. Ham, I think, could be crazy if there is a lot of power gain, because with Ham, you have just the ability to keep on refreshing those power stings as well. And if you kind of get like that mega combo where you get like the 25 power stings and everything aligns and they're like spamming special attacks, maybe that's going to be pretty insane. So I don't 100% know. Nobody does. But yeah, I'm interested to see if Ham can do something there. Then we also have Mr. Fantastic, and Mr. Fantastic is a very like underutilized character currently because there's just not really the content for him. But there could just be some bosses where he's amazing because he actually has the time to ramp up, get all of his debuffs going, get all the stacks going, start cycling the special 3. So yeah, I'm very curious to see if like this is going to be finally the mode for Mr. Fantastic. I think there was a very brief teaser of his gameplay and some of the footage that we saw on the Friday stream teaser reveal. But yeah, Mr. Fantastic, I think it's maybe one to just consider, just keep a bit of an eye on, and maybe test out if you do like the character and you've got him ranked up. Then we got Photon. I think Photon maybe not going to be the absolute best character, but she's just going to have time to get to her empowered damage state and really get a lot of value out of it. So curious to see if she makes sense to use. We got Spider-Woman. I think especially with the Ant-Man relic, that makes me really excited for all of the Power Sting champions, because they can get, you know, additional ramp-up value out of that as well. But Spider-Woman, she just hits really, really hard. So I'm curious to see, like, how she is going to work out. Cassie, I was actually testing Cassie a little bit the other day. I need to do a video at some point. But Cassie, when she really gets going with the Power Stings, dude, she's literally like a Power Sting ramp-up champion. And she has a lot of ramp-up, access to a lot of Power Stings, and a bit of refresh as well. So I'm curious to see if, like, this is the game mode for Cassie. Plus, also with her shrinking, you can do some very clutch things. So yeah, maybe Cassie might have some value in this mode of gameplay. And also Lizard as well. We got another Power Sting champion. Lizard is a bit of a ramp-up character. I feel like maybe, just in terms of the sheer output potential, he might be a little bit behind the other three, but maybe his tankiness and tags will offset it or provide value in some scenario. And then I've got Nefaria here. Nefaria really isn't, you know, the craziest overall long-form damage champion, but maybe his tankiness, you know, makes him a good option to still kind of meet some players halfway that might be struggling a little bit and need that more bolstered character to play. So yeah, curious to see what Nefaria does. And then in the Mutant class, we got Onslaught, Storm, Northstar. There's a lot of Necropolis footage from all three of these characters, man. They love cooking big health pools. They love ramping. I think Storm as well, without damage cap, is going to be pretty damn nasty. I'm really, really excited for Storm in this game mode. I hope she does some crazy things. Then we also have Jean Grey as well. Jean Grey, I think, is going to be overall solid. She gets a bit more ramp up in longer form. In the Mutant one, I didn't have my Onslaught, so I had to use Jean Grey for some of the bosses. And she was pretty good, actually. Like, worked really well. A lot of people have her at 7-star rank 4. She's got a great safety net as well. So Jean Grey, bit of potential there. Wolverine Weapon X, if it bleeds, dude, maybe. He's got a lot of bleed damage with those heavy attacks. So yeah, I'm curious to see what he can do. And then Professor X and Cyclops just like spamming a lot of specials. You know, what I learned from Biro Man, dude, is just do not sleep on Professor X. And I think even without synergies, and even it being the first fight, I think he could still potentially do something relatively impressive. But it still remains to be seen, you know? It does all right, but he ideally does love the synergies and a little bit of ramp up, at least to the best of my memory with Professor X. And Cyclops, he appreciates the synergies as well. But I think even first fight, you might be able to get some pretty mega combos with like the you know, the special 3, special 2, double special 1, and then just kind of run like special 1s, special 2, double special 1 combos back to back. So yeah, might have a bit of cheeky potential there with Cyclops. And then in the skill class, I think if it is anything like Necropolis, Kate Bishop, even as a 6-star rank 5 ascended, might be a little silly, dude. She might be a pretty good character. So yeah, I'm curious to see if Kate Bishop is gonna, you know, make an appearance, because she is like, yeah, by far the best skill champion for long form content. Those cold snaps are absolutely busted. Atuma, as we saw in the Nefaria gameplay video, and also I believe BMcG has some Atuma Necropolis gameplay up on YouTube as well. Like, Atuma in long fights, dude, really cooks on the damage. Once he gets, like, all of those debuffs going, dude, he hits, like, an absolute truck. Like, look at everything in play. And you wouldn't usually see this in your kind of, like, 30-second matchup. But if he's allowed to ramp in longer form fights, he can really get to a state. And I'm looking at also the time on this one as well, man. It's like, you know, 4 minutes and 16 seconds left. Like, Atuma, it's kind of putting in a little bit of work there. So yeah, I'm very curious to see what he does. Stealth Spidey as well. Potential absolute banger. He's just got really, really high base damage output. And yeah, once you get in that loop and just get the crit and fury uptime up, you just cook in. Black Cat. If you can get some Mega Bleed combos, dude, Black Cat is still ridiculous against certain bosses. So I'm curious to see if she's, you know, viable to play in these matches. Lumatrix. I actually saw a solo of Necropolis Titania with Lumatrix up on YouTube. I know there's very little Lumatrix gameplay out there, but it looks like in longer form, dude, he absolutely gets cooking. So yeah, very interested to see what he does. And then we got Okoye, and I feel like Okoye really shines in kind of those mid-range and punching up fights, but I do think in something like this, she's still going to have a decent level of value, getting the special 2, just trying to maximize those pauses, maximize the refreshes. So yeah, I'm curious to see what people can do with Okoye, because yeah, 7-star rank 4, if you get that special 2 burst combo right, it's just a lot of damage, dude. You can just get probably like 2 to 3 million, maybe, if you got like the ultimate setup on that one. So just very curious to see what people can do with Okoye in this mode of gameplay. And then we also have Cheolf. Cheolf has some Necropolis solos. Again, just mega bleeds on this character. Zemo as well, as Karate Mike showcased at Summoners Fest. But Zemo, he kind of suffers not having the other Zemo synergies, right? Like, that's the big thing that makes him, like, very overpowered for certain things, but still, I expect Zemo to be an alright option for some scenarios. Then I also want to give some love to Black Panther. I know Allison Edits did some really good videos just nuking things on Black Panther, but I also want to just see him perform very, very well in this mode of gameplay. So Allison, please use your 7-star rank for Black Panther and break all of the scores. And I'm definitely here for it if that's possible. And also I think Mr. Knight as well. Mr. Knight, in my experience so far, he's a champion. It kind of takes about 40 seconds to get into things, but when he does, dude, those light attacks are absolutely cooking. So I think he's got some really big potential in a mode like this that kind of doesn't rush characters. If you can get to that state and also sustain it, I think there's some pretty big damage. So yeah, very curious to see what he does. Maybe especially against the Nefaria as well, if that does come around as, you know, our second boss for the Alliance Coliseum mode of gameplay. But overall, yeah, I just wanted to share some thoughts here. This is kind of like the starting rough guide, rough base of like things to try out, you know, because this is all going to be very experimental. We've got to figure out like who is best for every single day and every single tag. And yeah, there's just a lot of like theory crafting and testing to be done, because you can theory craft all you want, but sometimes there's just a practical element that you don't quite take into consideration when it does go live. But yeah, use this for what it is. It is a starting template, it is a prediction list, and as we go through, we're going to see like who actually are the best characters. But I am 100% certain I'm probably missing at least like 5 characters off this list who are going to be absolutely amazing for Alliance Coliseum. But let me know who you think those characters are in the comments section below. And who you're going to be testing and who you're thinking of for the first Animal Warlock boss. But anyway, ladies and gentlemen, if you did enjoy this breakdown, please do smash that like button. That'd be greatly appreciated. Thank you all very much for watching. Take care, and I hope that you have an absolutely fantastic day.